Go Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Yao Mean of Revolution, and we got a World War III update. Pakistan is kind of crushing India, but Russia and China weapons are reigning supreme. Before we get into that, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button. You in the House of Revolution. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all. Well, Russia and Chinese weapons are reigning supreme. The West is humiliated. India is humiliated. Let's get into the content. NATO was afraid. The U.S. was afraid of China, too.
Even though many military experts and analysts continue to assert that the conflict between India and Pakistan threatens to escalate into a full-scale war between the two nuclear powers, while threatening the security of not only the South Asian region but the entire world, I strongly disagree with such statements. My dear truth seekers, as you know, the current conflict between India and Pakistan began after terrorists attacked tourists near the city of Pahalgam, in the Indian part of the Jammu and Kashmir region on April 22. Back then, the terrorists opened fire on tourists, vacationing in the Bizaran Valley, killing 24 Indian citizens and 1 Nepalese citizen. My dear friends, the fact is that this kind of escalation of tension between India and Pakistan occurs regularly every 5-6 years. And the main reason for this tension is the unresolved territorial dispute. Let me briefly remind you that a similar border conflict between India and Pakistan occurred in 2019. Back then, this conflict lasted for several days. As a result, India lost one of its fighter jets and imposed harsh economic sanctions against Pakistan. Therefore, everything happening now between Pakistan and India represents a common regional conflict over disputed territory. And these outbreaks of tension will continue until the issue of this disputed territory is resolved diplomatically. By the way, everything that is happening between India and Pakistan should be a lesson for Russia. This proves once again the fact that Moscow should not agree to freeze the conflict in Ukraine. Russia should bring the special military operation to a victorious end. If Russia does not do this, the conflict in Donbass will continue forever. Meanwhile, returning to the topic of the conflict between Pakistan and India, it is worth noting that the current tension between the two nuclear powers has identified the problematic sides of modern French Rafale and Mirage fighter jets, which were considered the most modern in the Indian Air Force. As it turned out, these French fighter jets proved to be ineffective for modern aerial combat. As you know, on the night of May 7, an air battle took place between India and Pakistan. And experts have already called this air battle the largest dogfight in history. As it turned out, 125 combat aircraft and numerous air defense systems participated in this aerial battle. At the same time, it is worth noting that fierce clashes took place at a distance of more than 160 kilometers, or 100 miles. Simply put, during this aerial battle, the pilots did not visually see each other, and relied entirely on the technical capabilities of their combat planes. And, unfortunately for the Indian pilots, their modern 4++ generation French fighter jet
is mind-boggling. 100 miles. I want you to think about that, because I know I am. I know what's 100 miles from me right now. That's crazy. It's like Houston and Dallas. It's like 3-4 hours. They are fighting each other 100 miles away from one each other. War has changed. It has changed a whole bunch.
Jets, Rafale and Mirage 2005, let them down. As it turned out, during the air battle, the French fighter jets demonstrated an inability to detect the launch and approach of enemy missiles. Furthermore, the radars on the French combat.
No, we're gonna be getting into this because when I start studying what actually took place, Pakistan came out on top. The first night we thought India, well, not we, me. Y'all ain't said shit. I thought India was up. India was doing a bunch of propaganda like Israel, because that's what they taking after, a bunch of propaganda like the US. And they really was getting their ass kicked. Especially I went and checked a bunch of different sources, check website, check comment sections. The whole world is praising the Pakistan Air Force, claiming they're some of the best in the world for how they just humiliated India and NATO fighter jets. And NATO has been put on warning. The missile they used wasn't even China's best. Understand what I just said? They just defeated NATO, one of NATO's top fighter aircraft, and it wasn't even one of China's most advanced missiles. They're in a lot of trouble, even playing with China. They're in a lot of trouble. The Chinese has been sitting back all the war, and we know they got. The U.S. should have been thankful that they ass didn't try to get into no fight with China. I know they're not going to fight over Taiwan now.
That plane showed incorrect data, while the Spectra system, which was supposed to protect the French fighter jets from enemy air-to-air missiles, failed at the very moment when the real air battle began.
In Pakistan, they had to attack. We're going to get into that because Pakistan is saying they destroyed a S400 system, and some people saying it is true. But Pakistan would know how because of China know how. China had the S400, so Russia wouldn't be mad. China got the S400 from Russia, so yes, China would know where the weakness is at and how to defeat it. That don't mean China would ever tell NATO how to defeat it. But Pakistan is an ally. India got caught slipping. They should have had Russian fighter jets. That's what everybody's saying too. But the only thing that really helped India stay in this fight for the little time they was in this fight was Russia air defense system. So the U.S. don't need to look at this. They don't have the Russia air defense system, and you don't have the advanced missiles that China used to destroy France. NATO is fucked all the way around.
In total, on the night of May 7th, India lost 5 of its fighter jets, including one old Su-30 MKI and MiG-29. And the most offensive is that among these lost combat planes were 2 super-modern Rafale fighter jets and 1 Mirage 2005. At the same time, it is worth noting that these modern French fighter jets were shot down by Chinese J10E warplanes using PL-15 long-range missiles. By the way, one more very important fact should be noted: Russian engineers from the MiG Corporation participated in the creation of these Chinese fighter jets. In addition, until 2021, all J-10 fighter jets were equipped.
This is a Russian channel right here. So this is a Russian channel. No military site I've seen yet gave Russia any credibility for the Chinese warplane. So I'm not going to let that go on. Whatever Russia did, Russia did. This is not about Russia. This is about China. This is about China, and this station should not do that. China has advanced weaponry too that Russia just going to have to respect. Shit, we've been talking about Russia. Now it's time to talk about China.
Exclusively with Russian AL-31FN aircraft engines.
Russia, my ass, that was China.
It is noteworthy that after this humiliating defeat in aerial combat, Indian experts admitted that purchasing French fighter jets for so much money was the biggest mistake that led Indian aviation to a dead end. At the same time, they confirmed that India bought these expensive, useless French fighter jets because of corrupt Indian generals and politicians who made a lot of money from this dubious deal, as a result of which Indian aviation suffered devastating material and reputational damage. Furthermore, Indian experts also admitted that India needed to rely only on Russian warplanes and develop its combat aviation by focusing exclusively on Russian fighter jets. According to them, India has made many strategic mistakes due to corrupt Indian officials and generals who only think about their own pockets. Indian experts also regret that India has withdrawn from a joint project with Russia to create a 5th-generation fighter jet. Experts and analysts are sure that it was precisely because of these strategic mistakes that India suffered such a crushing defeat in this air battle. However, in this conflict with Pakistan, not everything was so unfavorable for the Indian side. In particular, the S-400 air defense systems, in service with India, have performed very well in this conflict. For the past 3 days, the Indian press has been constantly praising these systems. According to them, the Russian S-400 systems have successfully repelled all missile attacks by Pakistan, including such complex targets as ballistic missiles. Moreover, on May 10, Pakistani and Indian sources confirmed information that India's S-400 air defense system shot down 2 Chinese JF-17 Thunder Block 3 fighter jets, created on the basis of the Soviet MiG-21. However, the bad news for Pakistan did not end there. On May 10, India officially confirmed that the S-400 system shot down 1 American F-16 fighter jet of the Pakistan Air Force. At the same time, India also officially declared that the Pakistani pilot, who was at the helm of the F-16, remained alive. According to New Delhi, this pilot is wounded and is in captivity. India even promised to show this pilot to reporters. At the same time, it is worth noting that if this information
Pakistan got a female Indian pilot too, though. Both of them captured pilots
is confirmed, it will be a real scandal, since the United States has officially banned Pakistan from using American fighter jets against India. As for the S-400 air defense system, it becomes clear that India is very pleased with this acquisition. Against this backdrop, many experts expressed confidence that after this conflict ends, India will review its attitude to purchasing Western weapons systems and focus solely on products from the Russian military-industrial complex.
Yeah, because they don't want to get into China. It's the Chinese military that's reigning supreme in this goddamn fight. And we finna look deeper into that too.
Pakistan's leadership announced that for the first time ever, the Chinese Chengdu J10C fighter jet has been employed in live combat, and with decisive effect. According to statements from Pakistan's Prime Minister and military authorities, Pakistan Air Force J10C aircraft successfully intercepted and shot down 5 Indian Air Force warplanes along the line of control in Kashmir. Among those downed were 3 French-built Dassault Rafale fighters, the crown jewels of India's recent air power modernization. Ground teams later recovered the seeker head casing of a PL-15 air-to-air missile near one of the crash sites, providing physical evidence that confirms the J10C's operational success. This engagement marks a watershed moment not only for Pakistan and China, but also for how advanced 4th-plus generation fighters may be employed in contested airspaces worldwide. The J-10 story begins in the late 1990s, when China recognized the urgent need to replace its aging fleet of Soviet-era MiG-21 and MiG-23 fighters. The Chengdu Aircraft Industry Group undertook the ambitious project of developing an indigenous, multi-role combat aircraft with high agility, long range, and modern avionics. The resulting baseline J-10 Vigorous Dragon featured a canard delta wing configuration, a single-engine layout powered by the Russian AL-31FN turbofan engine, and a fly-by-wire control system that enhanced maneuverability. Entering service in 2003 with the People's Liberation Army Air Force, early J-10 variants carried medium-range PL-8 infrared-guided missiles and precision-guided bombs. These aircraft provided China with a versatile platform for air superiority, interception, and ground attack missions, and laid the groundwork for further upgrades in sensor, engine, and weapon capabilities. Over the next 2 decades, the J-10 airframe underwent systematic enhancements that transformed it into the J-10C variant. The centerpiece of this upgrade is the domestically produced active electronically scanned array radar, which replaced the mechanically scanned array in previous models. This AESA radar can track up to 20 targets simultaneously, engage multiple threats in cluttered environments, and is inherently resistant to enemy jamming. Complementing the new radar is the WS-10B turbofan engine, which boosts thrust by roughly 15% over earlier engines, improving the aircraft's thrust-to-weight ratio, climb rate, and sustained turn performance. Cockpit systems were overhauled with a helmet-mounted display that allows pilots to cue weapons simply by looking at a target, and a data link network enables real-time sharing of sensor data with other Chinese and Pakistan Air Force assets. Structural reinforcements and enhanced composite materials also extended the J10C's service life and reduced its radar cross-section. Together, these improvements place the J10C firmly in the 4.5 generation category, combining stealthy features, advanced network-centric capabilities, and a potent weapons suite. Pakistan signed a major contract for 36 export-designated J10CE fighters, accompanied by 250 PL-15E long-range missiles. The first batch of 6 aircraft arrived in 2022, and by mid-2025, the Pakistan Air Force had 20 J10C jets operational within No. 15 Cobra's squadron, based at Samungli Air Base. Pakistani pilots underwent an intensive 18-month training program in China that covered high angle of attack maneuvers, beyond visual range missile employment, and low observable tactics. Ground crews and maintenance teams received parallel instruction on the WS-10B engine, ASA radar calibration, and the logistics chain for secure data link operations. The J10C's deployment enhanced the PF's layered air defense, complementing existing F-16 and JF-17 fleets. Prior to this week's engagement, the J10Cs participated in Exercise Shaheen V6 with the People's Liberation Army Air Force, and, in January 2024, provided top-cover escort for cross-border strikes into Iran against separatist targets, marking the type's first sortie beyond Pakistan's borders, albeit without air-to-air combat. At approximately 0400 hours Pakistan Standard Time, 2 flights of J-10C fighters scrambled from forward air bases along the line of control. Indian formations, reportedly including Rafale, Su-30 MKI, and Mirage 2000 aircraft, were detected attempting to penetrate defensive perimeters under cover of darkness. Leveraging the J-10C's ASA radar and helmet-mounted sight, Pakistani pilots launched PL-15E missiles from ranges beyond 40 nautical miles. The missile's active radar seekers autonomously guided them to impact, striking 3 Dassault Rafale fighters and 2 additional combat aircraft. Pakistani ground observers and drone feeds captured the incoming missile's launch plume and intercept trajectories. Responding units later recovered the PL-15E seeker head casing at one Rafale crash site, linking the weapon directly to the engagement. Pilot debriefs highlighted minimal missile evasive maneuvers by the Indian jets, suggesting the PL-15E's seeker demonstrated superior endgame agility. The PL-15 family represents a generational leap in Chinese air-to-air missile design. The baseline PL-15 uses a dual-pulse solid propellant rocket motor for sustained high-speed flight up to Mach 5 and a notional maximum range near 300 kilometers. Its guidance section features an active electronically scanned array radar seeker with mid-course data link updates, allowing fire-and-forget employment and high resistance to electronic countermeasures. The export version, designated PL-15E, trades some range for compliance with international arms control norms. Its downgraded motor limits reach to approximately 145 kilometers, but the missile retains the same seeker head, autopilot, and advanced control surfaces. The PL-15E's agility in the terminal phase gives it a competitive edge over contemporaries such as the Meteor missile, although Meteor's ramjet motor provides theoretically longer no-escape zones. Battlefield evidence from the Kashmir engagement indicates that even the export variant can decisively engage high-performance fighters at extended standoff distances. In the hours following the engagement, Pakistan's foreign minister disclosed that China's ambassador and senior embassy officials visited his office at 400 hours to receive a classified briefing on the operation's details. According to the minister, the Chinese delegation expressed full support and great satisfaction with the J10C's performance. Beijing has otherwise maintained official silence, but the ambassador's early morning visit underscores China's close defense partnership with Pakistan and its vested interest in showcasing the J10C as a credible export fighter. Analysts view this diplomatic choreography as part of China's broader strategy to challenge Western dominance in the fighter export market and to deepen security ties with strategically located partners in South Asia. Defense experts in both China and the United States are now dissecting this engagement to inform future air combat doctrines, particularly for potential conflicts over Taiwan or in contested areas of the Indo-Pacific. War colleges and think tanks will pore over open-source radar track reconstructions, pilot debrief transcripts, and the recovered PL-15E hardware to assess performance envelopes. One senior United States defense official, speaking on condition of anonymity, remarked there is high confidence the J10C deployed PL-15E missiles effectively against Rafale and other high-end fighters. This live-fire demonstration will likely shape procurement debates, sensor fusion priorities, and beyond visual range missile development programs around the world. Social media and defense industry forums have already begun comparing the PL-15 family to Europe's Meteor missile, examining trade-offs in motor design, seeker technology, and no-escape zone performance. While Meteor proponents highlight its ramjet propulsion and continuous thrust profile, the PL-15's proven combat record, even in its export configuration, has garnered fresh attention. Unlike earlier disputed incidents, this Kashmir engagement is corroborated by multiple lines of evidence. Wreckage analysis from independent field teams confirmed that shrapnel patterns and impact scars on the Rafale airframe matched PL-15E control fin dimensions. Satellite imagery from commercial providers identified fresh debris clouds at 2 crash sites and tracked the inbound trajectories of the missiles. Eyewitness accounts from Pakistani villages reported distinct sonic booms consistent with supersonic missile flight. Neutral open-source analysts have reconstructed flight paths by correlating radar track exchanges posted by hobbyist watchers, providing a transparent timeline of the interception sequence. Taken together, these data streams leave little doubt that the J10C and its PL-15E arsenal were instrumental in achieving these first combat kills. Wednesday's engagement represents more than a tactical skirmish. It is the Chengdu J10C's baptism by fire and definitive proof of China's maturation as a fighter and missile developer. The platform's success underscores the viability of China's export strategy and cements the J10C as a compelling competitor in global fighter markets. For Pakistan, the victory validates years of training, infrastructure investment, and interoperability work with the People's Liberation Army Air Force. For air forces worldwide, the encounter offers a real-world case study in beyond visual range engagements, multi-role fighter employment, and the integration of advanced sensors and weapons. As analysts digest every weapon fragment, cockpit transcript, and radar plot, one fact stands clear. The era of the J10C has officially entered its combat chapter, reshaping the calculus of air power in South Asia and beyond. Today's headlines tell of a stunning development on the air defense front. The Pakistan Air Force has reportedly taken India's flagship S400 Triumph air defense system at Adampur Air Force Station out of operation.
Now, this is what's very important. Pakistan is saying that it hit the S400 system, the Russian system that India had, which China has, and China know how to beat the defenses. So China probably told Pakistan how to beat the defenses on the S400. So Pakistan is saying after the S400 was hit, that was keeping India in the fight, that S400 system, the Russian system, that's when India and the Trump White House already said India reached out to them about a ceasefire, not Pakistan. Now Pakistan is saying, yeah, the reason you wanted a ceasefire is because we hit your main air defense system.
Saturation strikes from hypersonic CM-400 AKG missiles, launched by JF-17 Thunder fighters, inflicted multiple hits and shut down the Russian-made S-400 system in its tracks. Early this morning, a formation of JF-17 Thunder aircraft closed in on the Adampur site under electronic cover. Using anti-radiation seekers in a combined suppression of enemy air defense and destruction of enemy air defense role, the CM-400 AKG missiles homed in on the S-400's radars. Within moments, the system's tracking and launch capabilities were silenced, marking the first confirmed operational takedown of an S-400 battery. These tactics are not untested. During the Indus Shield 2023 exercise, the Pakistan Air Force practiced this very sequence. J10C fighters providing cover as JF-7C Thunder 3 jets launched high-speed air-to-ground missiles. Electronic warfare support from DA-20 aircraft jamming radar and communications gave the strike package the window of opportunity it needed. A blueprint today's mission appears to have followed to lethal effect. With roughly 100 JF-17 Thunder aircraft in Block 2 and Block 3 configuration, the Pakistan Air Force possesses sufficient strike platforms to mount these saturation attacks en masse. Combined with dozens of CM-400 AKG missiles carried on each fighter, the air arm can press multiple volleys from varying directions, overwhelming even the most sophisticated air defense networks. The CM-400 AKG functions more like a miniature air-launched ballistic missile than a conventional cruise missile. After launch, it accelerates under rocket power, climbs to high altitude, then dives at Mach 4 toward its target. Its inertial guidance system, augmented by satellite navigation and passive radar seekers in the terminal phase, ensures precision strikes against high-value emitters, such as S-400 radars. Critical to the mission's success was pinpointing the S-400 radar arrays from over 200 kilometers away. The DA-20 electronic warfare aircraft, fitted with the Chinese JN-1F communication countermeasure system, likely employed a short baseline technique, using multiple receivers to triangulate enemy radar emissions. Once coordinates were fed over secure data link to the JF-17s, the salvo of CM-400 AKG missiles followed the exact radar signature to destruction. Today's operation underscores the Pakistan Air Force's growing reliance on Chinese-exported systems. From J10C fighters with active phased array radar and PL-15 air-to-air missiles to DA-20 jammers and ZDK-3 early warning aircraft, every link in the suppression chain was of Chinese origin. The Indus Shield demonstrations, and now this real-world strike, show that Beijing's hardware can perform end-to-end missions against top-tier Russian air defense. If these reports hold up under independent verification, Western militaries will study the tactics and performance data with intense interest. Overcoming an S-400 system, Russia's fourth-generation air defense platform, capable of engaging targets nearly 400 kilometers away, represents a major tactical breakthrough. Lessons learned here could reshape suppression of enemy air defense doctrine across NATO and allied forces. Beyond South Asia, these methods may be adopted in other theaters. In Ukraine, for instance, similar strikes could be mounted against Russian air defenses using Ukraine's Western-supplied fighters and any future hypersonic or supersonic missiles. As long as radar emission sources can be accurately located and paired with high-speed strike weapons, even the most advanced surface-to-air missile systems can be neutralized. In response to today's reported strike, the Indian Air Force will undoubtedly accelerate efforts to harden future S-400 deployments. Expect to see more extensive use of decoys, mobile launchers spread across dispersed sites, and integration of complementary systems, such as Pantsir S-1 point defense missiles and advanced countermeasures, to create layered protection. Enhanced electronic countermeasure suites and camouflage techniques may also be deployed to mask radar signatures and mislead incoming seekers, making precise targeting far more difficult. This operation highlights a rapidly evolving strategic landscape along the India-Pakistan frontier. With Pakistan demonstrating credible means to neutralize high-end defenses, India may reconsider forward-basing patterns for its fighters and support assets. Simultaneously, Pakistan's newfound confidence in Chinese-supplied suppression tools could embolden more assertive air patrols near the line of control. As both sides adapt, the traditional deterrence balance, long defined by mutual vulnerability, will be tested by these emerging tactical capabilities. Finally, today's success with CM-400 AKG hypersonic missiles signals a new chapter in aerial strike doctrine worldwide. As hypersonic weapons proliferate, every air force will feel pressure to field their own fast-moving, long-range strike options. This competition will drive innovations in missile defense, from directed energy systems to faster interceptor missiles, and spur further integration of real-time electronic warfare. The race is on to develop both offense and defense in the hypersonic era, and today's action has firmly raised the stakes. Behind today's operational success lies a significant investment and co-production effort. Between 2017 and 2018, Pak's Ministry of Defense Production procured 60 CM-400 AKG missiles for $100 million US, signaling a commitment to high-speed standoff capabilities. At the same time, the JF-17 Thunder program matured into a true bilateral venture. The aviation industry of China and Pakistan Aeronautical Complex share manufacturing responsibilities, with Pak producing 58% of each fighter airframe. This work-share arrangement not only ensures local assembly and maintenance expertise, but also paves the way for future integration of advanced weapons like the CM-400 AKG directly onto Pakistan's primary combat platform. The CM-400 AKG's quasi-ballistic flight profile and Mach 4 terminal speed offer a novel standoff weapon option for the JF-17 beyond conventional cruise missiles. Unlike heavier, air-breathing designs, this solid-fuel rocket-powered missile sacrifices sea skimming for high-altitude launch and steep terminal dives, maximizing aircraft survivability while delivering blistering penetration against radar emitters. This evolving munitions suite transforms the JF-17 into a versatile saturation strike platform. The relatively low procurement and operational costs of both the fighter and its standoff weapons mean Pakistan can stockpile larger inventories, enabling repeated salvos that can overwhelm sophisticated air defense networks. Today's reported takedown of an S-400 battery at Adampur reshapes not only the balance of power along the India-Pakistan border, but also global perceptions of what hypersonic strike packages and coordinated electronic warfare can achieve. With Chinese-backed platforms in the vanguard, the Pakistan Air Force has unveiled a credible path to suppressing the world's premier air defense arrays, a development sure to send ripples through air forces and defense thinkers worldwide.
有人拿飞机都被打丢了，一家都没回家，就可以全都被花。我在这天没说过这三家，雷达都是灰的，什么都看不清你。Ceasefire，我上多种多方法，他们需要丢大家，这次丢人丢大家。我被这回家全部换新的，就没他们都玩，没他们都没事情啊。 他们不会灭的。
Imagine this. A $140,000 missile obliterating an $85 million fighter jet 3 times in 24 hours. Sounds like something out of a Hollywood blockbuster, right? Except it's not fiction. This just happened between India and Pakistan, and trust me, the implications are far bigger than you might think.
Bloomberg is reporting that Chinese military stocks are soaring after Pakistan's latest actions may have just created a new military-industrial complex. China's developing military-industrial complex is currently the main supplier of Pakistan's military. They alone account for more than 80% of Pakistan's total arm imports, providing them with everything from next-generation fighter jets to cutting-edge hypersonic missiles. However, Beijing has struggled to expand their military exports beyond Pakistan due to the simple fact that their military-industrial complex is relatively young and their equipment is untested in real combat, leaving countries around the world to still prefer their established suppliers in the US, Russia, and France, with China only accounting for less than 6% of global arms sales. But all that changed overnight, and nations are now rushing to buy Chinese-made weapons after Pakistan proved their effectiveness by using Chinese fighter jets and hypersonic missiles to take down multiple French-made fighter jets in the Indian military, causing Chinese defense stocks to go up by 20% in a single day.
If you're familiar with the world of artificial intelligence, you might have heard of DeepSeek or similar breakthroughs, moments when technology takes a quantum leap forward, leaving everyone else scrambling to catch up. Well, this is a DeepSeek moment for modern warfare. Cheap, precise, and brutally efficient, the PL-15 has rewritten the rules of aerial combat in one fell swoop.
今天我可以说的更直白一些。第一，如果中国真的向俄罗斯提供军事补给，那战场的局势早就不是今天这个样子。
For context, India spent over $1 billion purchasing these Rafale jets from France, with one goal in mind: achieving air superiority over Pakistan. But now, all those investments and all those promises are up in smoke. These relatively cheap PL-15 missiles completely flipped the script overnight. Now here's where things get even more interesting. If you zoom out, this isn't just about India and Pakistan. It's about the future of warfare itself. Right now, the United States dominates the global arms market. We're talking billions upon billions of dollars in exports every year. But China, they've been quietly building their reputation as a serious competitor, and moments like this prove exactly why. Think of it like this. Just as DeepSeek disrupted industries by making advanced AI accessible and affordable, China's PL-15 is doing the same for modern warfare. Developing countries around the world are watching closely. Why spend billions on expensive Western hardware when you can buy cheaper, equally effective weapons from China? For example, Nigeria recently purchased Chinese CH-3 drones to combat Boko Haram, while Algeria opted for Chinese frigates instead of European warships. The message is clear. You don't need to break the bank to counter cutting-edge technology anymore.
The JF-17 is a Pakistani and Chinese success story. It's done really well. China don't need JF-17, but many other nations who have it do. It's a cheap, effective way of getting those state-of-the-art Chinese missiles in the air and knocking down planes. Air-to-ground missions as well. It's a very good plane. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck. The British were worried about Argentina getting hold of the JF-17 because they knew it would be possible for the Chinese to humiliate them in the Falklands. And they were thankful when Argentina didn't get it in the end or didn't order it. But yeah, the JF-17 uses a lot of the technology of the Chinese J10 and a lot of the same missiles as well. Remember, the J10 is the most mass-produced fighter in this day and age. There's a huge number of them. So they don't really need JF-17s. Plus, if you think about it, the size of China, JF-17 would be more suited to a country the size of Pakistan rather than China. Hope that helps. Ranja Sabao.
But there's another layer to this story. One of the biggest criticisms of Chinese weapons has always been their lack of real-world combat testing. After all, China hasn't fought a war in over 50 years. So how reliable are their systems? Well, guess what? Thanks to Pakistan, the world now has its answer. 3 Indian jets shot down in under 24 hours. Case closed. This is the battlefield equivalent of proving your algorithm works in real-world conditions after years of theoretical development. This is a wake-up call for NATO allies, for regional powers, and for anyone who relies on traditional Western suppliers. What happens when your billion-dollar fleet meets a $100,000 missile? Suddenly, the balance of power shifts, and fast. And here's the thing. According to Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, China's share of global arms trade has grown by over 30% in the last decade alone. Meanwhile, countries like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt are increasingly turning to Beijing for everything from tanks to ballistic missiles. If current trends continue, China could surpass Russia as the second largest arms exporter within the next 5 years. Call it the DeepSeek effect. When innovation meets affordability, disruption follows. So whether you're a military enthusiast, a geopolitical junkie, or just someone trying to make sense of the world, this is one of the most significant events of the last decade. Cheap, deadly, and proven in combat, China's PL-15 missiles didn't just change the game for India and Pakistan. It sent shockwaves through the entire global arms industry. And mark my words, this is only the beginning. If you found this video insightful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next one.
Pakistan Army is not playing around, launching its new missiles in a big way, destroying many Indian military targets, causing the country to appeal for a ceasefire that came into effect on Saturday night, May 10, 2025. But before that, Pakistani forces is preparing to escalate operations to the next level, using Fateh-1 missile, in response to Indian use of ballistic missiles a few hours earlier. Thus, Pakistan announced the start of a large-scale military operation against India, launching Operation Bunyan al-Marsis, Strong Wall, saying the decision is taken in response to ongoing provocations. Fateh-1, a surface-to-surface missile, is basically a guided multiple launch rocket system, GMLRS, developed domestically by Pakistan, designed to enhance the precision strike capabilities of the Pakistan Army. The system was first successfully tested on January 7, 2021, covers 8 missiles at one time, and can be easily sent anywhere with a range of 120 to 140 kilometers for precision strikes. So far, only Fateh-1 missile, one of the smallest in Pakistani arsenal, has been deployed. Pakistan has not yet used the Fateh-2, which has a range of 400 kilometers and can reach Delhi, not to mention the ballistic missiles that remain unused. Escalation isn't wise, especially when both countries are nuclear powers. But the rocket launchers are being fired continuously into the air, and what happens next will be decisive for Indian military position. Following a recent wave of day and night attacks by the rocket crews, Pakistanis lined up next to the missile launchers that were about to be fired toward India, as if they were watching for their accuracy, which would explode on targets in India and caused major panic in New Delhi during the attack. Pakistan is not just holding itself, it is dominating. If India is so strong, it is begging for a ceasefire after Pakistani harsh response. Pakistan has not only shocked India in a matter of days, but has shocked the world, with confirmed reports saying at least 8 Indian pilots were killed, 5 jets were downed, more than 25 bases destroyed, and more than 100 military personnel killed. Now, India and Pakistan have agreed to a ceasefire, even though a few hours later explosions thundered across the border, in what some have called a victory, or simply an act of desperation. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif officially declared a historic victory over India, praising his country's armed forces. He instead slammed India for the alleged mosque attack and the spreading of fake news and baseless media allegations. Sharif stressed that Pakistan is principled, and that the ceasefire agreement was reached in the interest of all.
The worst fighting in 20 years. A Cold War turns into mutual bombing and the threat of nuclear weapons. India sends a squadron of its most powerful French and Russian aircraft to bomb Pakistan. Islamabad succeeds in shooting them down with a Chinese dome. A major shock for the United States and Israel after the success of the Chinese system in its export version in its first real combat. What is the story behind these systems, which combine the capabilities of the Russian S400 and the American THAAD? How did they cause Israel's man in India to lose his mind? We will reveal many secrets and details to you, dear viewer, in this video. Stay tuned. Pakistan Chinese Dome. HQ-9 be a Chinese long-range system known to NATO as Red Banner 9, indicating its ability to engage fifth-generation aircraft. In recent days, this system has managed to shoot down 5 Indian aircraft, including Rafale, MiG-39, and Sukhoi Su-30. Strikingly, these aircraft were flying in Indian airspace. US media described the Chinese system as a hybrid system because China copied the engagement, artificial intelligence, jamming, and friend or foe identification systems from US systems. Meanwhile, the missiles were copied from the S-400 system, specifically the guidance and propulsion systems, engines, and external engineering that give the missiles the flexibility to fly at more than 4 times the speed of sound. The Pakistan-China system has a multi-mission radar with a detection range of up to 4,000 kilometers and an intercept range of 400 kilometers, with a maximum altitude of 27 kilometers. The Pakistan-China system can track 100 targets and intercept 6 targets simultaneously, with a 360-degree scan angle. The system can track and intercept ballistic missiles with a range of 8,000 kilometers at a speed of 27 Mach inside and outside the atmosphere, and can target satellites. The speed of HQ-9B missiles is about 4.7 Mach, which is about twice as fast as the fastest fighter jets. The missiles are guided by 3 simultaneously operating systems. The first is a semi-active radar guidance system, in which the missile relies on the target detected by the system's radar and tracks it. The second is an infrared tracking system that is difficult to jam, intercept, or deceive. In addition, there is a passive seeker system built into the missile structure that tracks the target aircraft's radar and uses thermal sensors to identify the aircraft's heat signature and engine temperature. China has added another feature, acoustic tracking, which allows the missile to track targets flying at subsonic speeds, such as drones, helicopters, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles. Although this feature is secondary, it is intended to provide extremely accurate targeting. The system uses advanced jamming techniques to hide its location from military and early warning aircraft radars. These techniques can disable 3rd and 4th generation military aircraft radars, giving friendly aircraft an advantage in overcoming enemy air targets with ease. The system uses an electro-optical scanning ESA radar capable of detecting targets at altitudes ranging from 30 meters to 120 kilometers. HQ-9 consists of a 6-barrel missile launcher mounted on an 8x8 wheeled truck chassis that can travel at speeds of up to 65 kilometers per hour. The system is approximately 13 meters long and has 7 missile pods. Each vehicle is equipped with 6 interceptors mounted in integrated containers using cold launch technology. Each vehicle operates independently while maintaining a satellite data link with the command and control vehicle and radar over an unlimited range, allowing the command vehicle to control the missile defense platform from as far away as 500 kilometers. This is one of the strengths that keeps the Red Banner Battalion operational, even if one of its vehicles fails or is destroyed. Each battalion consists of 9 vehicles: a command and control vehicle, a radar and communications vehicle, an engineering, logistics, and maintenance vehicle, and 6 missile launchers with a total of 24 missiles capable of firing at 24 different targets within 20 seconds, making it a sophisticated and highly accurate Iron Dome system. Each vehicle has an independent electrical power system that can operate for 12 days without the need to run the main engine, keeping the system operational 24 hours a day and not shutting down if the engine fails or reserves are depleted. The HQ-9B does not rely on a traditional vertical launch system, but instead uses high-angle, semi-vertical launch technology from an adaptive base at the rear of each launcher. Development of the HQ-9B dates back to the late 1990s as part of China's 863 program, which prioritized advances in high-tech defense capabilities. In February 2021, the Chinese Ministry of National Defense announced that HQ-9B had met all expectations after passing a series of tests from 2010 to 2021, confirming its defensive nature. In June 2022, China conducted a ground-based technical test of mid-course ballistic missiles, with analysts saying the successful interception proved the reliability of the country's anti-ballistic missile umbrella, and that the system was not aimed at any particular country and was designed primarily to intercept ballistic missiles that might reach it. HQ-17 system is a short-range air defense system known to NATO as Red Banner 17. It is a Chinese reverse engineering of the Russian Tor-M system with some improvements. The HQ-17 system consists of 4 Shengxi vehicles carrying 32 launch-ready missiles and 4 active guidance radars, the first of which is a Landroll S-51, supported by 2 target acquisition radars. The radars operate simultaneously through a collective processing unit with a target location accuracy of 1 meter, while the aiming error is 4 meters, leaving no room for fixed-wing aircraft or helicopters to evade the missiles. The Chinese version of the Pakistani Tor system is equipped with a 3-dimensional radar that can detect targets up to 32 kilometers away and track 40 targets, with the ability to lock onto the 10 most dangerous. The second radar is the P-31CH, which has a range of 55 kilometers and can track 40 targets simultaneously. This type of radar acts as a missile guidance system, giving guidance commands to the missile until it is close to the target, achieving a destruction rate of at least 80%. The system carries 8 missiles that are physically identical to the Russian 9M331 missiles. The missile is 1.3 meters long and weighs a total of 167 kilograms, including 15 kilograms for the warhead. The missile is powered by a solid propellant engine with a range of up to 20 kilometers, a maximum altitude of 10,000 meters, and a speed of 3 Mach. The system takes less than 12 seconds from target acquisition to missile launch. HQ-7B system. A short-range mobile air defense system known to NATO as Red Banner 7, it is manufactured by the China Aviation Industry Corporation and is a reverse engineering of the French R440 Crotaley system. The Pakistani-Chinese system consists of a short-range radar and 3 launchers, each carrying 4 or 8 high-explosive missiles with a range of 700 meters to 15 kilometers and a maximum altitude of 6 kilometers. The missile is 3 meters long and weighs 84 kilograms, including a 15-kilogram warhead. The system is guided by an active radar capable of detecting 48 targets and tracking 24 of them within a range of 20 kilometers. The system is mounted on a diesel-powered armored vehicle with a range of 600 kilometers and is capable of traveling on paved roads at a speed of 90 kilometers per hour. At the end of the video, dear viewer, do you think Pakistan's dome will succeed in deterring Israeli-developed Indian aircraft? Let us know in the comments.
On the afternoon of May the 8th, the Japanese newspaper, Tokyo Shimbun, finally broke its silence and reported for the first time the news of Chinese-made fighter jet shoots down Indian plane. Although the report was very brief and the headline revealed a reluctant attitude, as one of the mainstream media in Japan, the report of the Current Affairs news agency still attracted wide attention. It was followed by a report in the Sankei Shimbun on May the 9th, and the story was placed on the front page of Yahoo Japan. According to the Pakistani report, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Dar, who appeared before the National Assembly on May the 7th, said that the Pakistani army had used Chinese-made fighter jets, the J10C, to shoot down 5 Indian Air Force (IAF) fighters, including 3 French-made J10C fighters. These included 3 French-made Rafale fighters. Now this news has been confirmed. This is the J10 in the air-to-air combat for the first time in the record, but also, Rafale fighters were shot down for the first time. In the face of such achievements, China and Pakistan must be very happy, but the relative Europe and the United States, as well as Japan, India must be very unhappy. But now in the era of self-media popularity, any information cannot be wrapped, just like paper cannot be wrapped in fire. Even if India, Europe and the United States had wanted to hide, but ultimately still be peeled open. Why did Japan not report it before? It is estimated that there are 2 reasons. 1. The West did not report, Japan dare not act rashly. 2. The Japanese media do not want to let the country to see China's power. After all, there is a world feud between the two. Until the US officials, Reuters and other Japanese eyes of the Western authorities have expressed their position, the Japanese media will no longer continue to pretend that they do not know, and finally open their mouths. However, the content of the report is very concise, without too much ink. I guess there is still some weakness. The report reads as follows. According to Pakistan's report on the 8th, the country's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Dal 7 days to attend the parliament around the conflict of force with India. He claimed that the Pakistani army using Chinese-made fighter jets, J10C, downed the Indian Air Force's 5 fighter jets. He said that the downed 5 fighter jets, including 3 French-made Rafale fighter jets. The IAF has not commented on the Pakistani claim. If confirmed, this would be the first time the J-10 has been shot down in an air-to-air battle. It is also the first time that a Rafale has been shot down. The content shows that although Japan has reported it, it is still more or less covered up and ambiguous. The fact that has been confirmed, but also afraid to admit, but pushed to India. In other words, if India does not recognize it, then Japan does not recognize it either. This kind of cover-up is really laughable. Before the Indo-Pakistani conflict, the French Rafale had been claimed to be the world's most advanced 4.5-generation fighter jet, which was not only well known in the international community, but also a fighter jet that India was proud of. For this reason, India had spent more than $9 billion, equivalent to a price of about $244 million, to order more than 30 Rafale fighters from France. But I did not expect, in the India-Pakistan conflict, Rafale actually lost the battle. Translated with Deeple.com, free version. This is not all. After the Pakistani official also claimed that, at that time, for the sake of sentimentality, did not give full force to combat. If the full force, at least 20, Rafale, can be shot down, this is a naked face. Not only hit Sand face, but also hit the French face. In any case, the fact that the Rafale was shot down by the J-10 began to make the outside world re-examine the performance gap between the two. The excellent performance of the J-10C fighter jet in this air battle proves the strong strength of Chinese manufacturing in the field of aviation industry. Especially the J-10 is equipped with long-range air-to-air missile PL-15, whose range and performance have also been verified in the actual battle. It is worth mentioning that the current Pakistani configuration of J-10C is still our trade version of the product. The actual domestic J-10C will be more powerful. In addition, in our country, J-10C is basically a product that is about to be eliminated, and on top of J-10, we already have J-16, J-20, J-35, and even the mysterious and unpredictable 6th-generation fighter. How can such strength not make the world sour? This is also the fundamental reason why the Japanese media has been covering up and not daring to admit. As the Japanese media expected, when the Japanese media has announced the India-Pakistan conflict, China's development of the J-10C superior performance, the Japanese domestic really set off a furor. Many Japanese netizens made comments of amazement and shock to shoot down a Western 4.5-generation fighter with a Chinese-made fighter, and a Chinese-made missile is an astonishing event. Especially the long-range air-to-air missile PL-15 became the biggest level of threat. Of course, this is also the main weapon of the Chinese Air Force, so the Air Self-Defense Force, which is at the forefront of the confrontation, must take the highest level of vigilance. Even though it may not matter because the F-35 is a stealth aircraft, the F-15 and F-2 will be in trouble. They may be attacked out of range due to the poor range of air-to-air missiles. This is news like a nightmare for the SDF and the Taiwan Air Force. By relying on F-15S and F-16S, it is no longer possible to compete with the Chinese Air Force, and it could be unilaterally ravaged. In military circles, it has been talked about. Even the Chinese PL-15, a monkey version of this, does have a range of over 140 kilometers. Even the cheaper version of the J10 has long-range radar capability and ECCM capability to exploit the Rafale's electronic warfare capabilities. Even the Pakistan Air Force, PAF, which is the substantial second team of the Chinese Air Force, has established an operational and educational system that fully mobilizes the capabilities of its aircraft and missiles. The Air Self-Defense Forces modernized and converted F-15S are pretty much on the verge of becoming waste. They can only use F-35S to fight the Chinese Air Force, but they don't have long-range missiles. The Bay is even worse. The Chinese are more confident in designing a lightning attack on Taiwan, I guess. Big shocker. I'd like to ask Prime Minister Ishiba, who is a military fan and a senior otaku, how he understands this. This is out of the ordinary propaganda display for a country that is considering purchasing fighter jets, isn't it? Maybe the downed IAF will also introduce it. In turn, the Rafale is feared to be unsellable. The outside world wonders how China will fare against the F-16. Because there is no performance difference with the Rafale, the self-confidence of attacking Taiwan by force is thought to have deepened. For Japan, it is something that should be extremely worrying. Translated with DeepL.com, free version.
Satellite imagery. I actually think it could be from this airbase, Sargodha Base. Hello everyone. A little diversion away from Ukraine here to look at some satellite imagery showing damage to Pakistan's air bases caused by India's missile strikes. There's a mixed bag of damage here. I'm going to have a look at each satellite image and then show where exactly it is on a map and that sort of thing. So, the first of our images is on screen now. This shows a large crater on the runway of Sargodha Air Base. Now, damage to runways like this is quite an easy fix. So, this won't be an issue to repair. You can see transport aircraft are nearby. I did wonder at first if this one had missed its target, but it being slap bang in the middle of a runway like this makes me think this was its actual target here, rather than the base's infrastructure. Last night, we looked at a similar strike that hit a runway and caused a massive crater, said to have been done to prevent the PAS fighter jets from taking off during that night's missions. That could be the case here too. That video is said to be from Rahim Yar, but as we'll see when we get to the Rahim Yar satellite imagery, I actually think it could be from this airbase, Sargodha Base, and the wrong name was given by the source which uploaded the video, as you will see when we get to that satellite imagery, the craters of that airbase are much smaller. This one looks pretty hefty. As well as the transport aircraft seen in this image, this base is also home to fighter aircraft as well. So, holding the runway like this to stop flights taking off and keep the skies safer for other aircraft to operate would make sense. So, I've added this one to our map. It's about 200 kilometers to the border. No mention as to what was used to hit this. It's out of range of a DRDO airfield denial weapon, so something else was used here, but I'm not sure what. Let's move on to our next image. So our next one is on screen now. This shows some pretty extensive damage to an aircraft hangar at PAF Bolari. Some OSINT sources reported 5 airmen, including the squadron leader, were here at the time. You can see a pretty big hole in the hangar roof and that old nemesis of Russia's debris littering the area. No confirmation as to whether any aircraft were in here or not. Let's check it on Google Maps. Bolari is one of the PAF's main bases, and it's home to the number 19 squadron equipped with F-16s and the number 18 squadron equipped with JF-17s. Also flying here are Saab 2000 AWACS aircraft. I wonder if these may have been targeting the AWACS, which would be a major target. This being named at the hangar used for storing the AWACS is a big possibility, I think, because the fighter jets have their own small, hardened bunkers, as shown here. The AWACS aircraft would need something bigger. Another possibility this is a repair or maintenance facility to a base. I've added it to our map, and you can see this is about 280 kilometers to the border from here. Scalp is a big possibility for targeting this one, I think. Next up, this image here. This is another hangar targeted at a different airbase. This one is PAF Baz-Sharbaz. A single hangar hit here, with a quarter of it destroyed. I can't see any sign of an aircraft inside this hangar, and the imagery is quite clear. This airbase is a major one, and it's home to the number 5 squadron, the 11 squadron, and the 88 squadron. Number 5 and number 11 fly F-16s, whereas the 88 is a helicopter squadron. And here's a Google Map view of it. So you can see this hangar is right next to the air control tower. The air control tower is still standing, but it must have took some damage. A quarter of this hangar at least has caved in. Now, I couldn't see any sign of an aircraft amongst the wreckage, but that isn't to say there isn't some and we just can't see it. This is right on the flight line, so I would expect some to be here. This is added to our map now, about 200 kilometers to the border, and there's still quite a lot to go. Next up, the Pashur Air Defense Radar. On this image is also the before and the after supplied. The imagery isn't as clear as what we just looked at, but you can see damage to the radar head here, but I can't tell how badly. But another strike, no mention as to what was used to hit this. It's added to our map the top corner, very close to the border. I imagine this was the first hit to blind the PAF and minimise its air detection capabilities and keep the skies safer. So we have the IAF targeting radars, holding the runways to stop jets taking off, and then striking the hangars. Next up, lower quality imagery here shows signs of damage at Chunian Air Base. Not as major. You can see a crater next to the radar itself and signs of burning, but the radar itself looks to be fairly intact here, but I can't tell for certain. This is added to our map, south of Johor, and once again, very close to the border. Rahim Yar is next. This one we looked at yesterday, where the massive crater was reported to be from. Here, you can see 2 craters on the runway. Now, these on the satellite imagery don't look to be anywhere near as big as the crater we saw in yesterday's video. I wonder if that video which we looked at was given the wrong location by the uploader and was actually at a different airbase, the one we looked at first here, with a big crater. These ones at Rahim Yar, whilst the runway has been hit twice, just aren't big enough. This is reported to be a forward operating base located on a civilian airfield. Reports saying that JF-17s were based here as rapid response air defense. Also damaged is a building shown in Area 2. This isn't very clear, so let's take a look. So it's this building here. This looks like the main entranceway to the airport from what I can tell, the main building. It seems unclear on the satellite imagery, but it seems like this was hit twice. This is added to our map about 60 kilometers to the border. Now, I'm surprised. If JF-17s were here, they would be a major target. Being this close to the border, they would be very vulnerable, and I just can't see them being based here because of that reason. I wonder if the report that JF-17s were based here is actually misinformation, as if they were here, surely India would have targeted them instead, and being this close to the border, they'd be easy to hit. It could be that they were scrambled quickly and escaped, however. Next up, another one we looked at yesterday, Neutralizing. Now, this one, the video we saw, showed 2 missiles hitting here, and the area hit seems to be pretty unimportant, to be honest. This is the strike though, where yesterday we saw a photo of what looked to be a burning C-130. No such aircraft is visible on the satellite imagery, so either it's been towed away already, or the angle of the photo we saw was misleading, giving the impression that a C-130 was on fire, when in fact it wasn't. But it certainly did look like a burning C-130 was here. On Google Maps, you can see this is the truck and logistics depot of the base. A bit of a waste of 2 missiles, to be honest. Out of all the places on this base to target, hitting the truck bay would be pretty low down on my list of priorities. The PAF got off lucky here, as in the aftermath satellite imagery, you can see it hanging nearby with a transport aircraft inside it, just to the south. 2 images from Sukhoi Air Base here. The first one shows the targeting of the base's radar site, and before and after showing damage, but it's unclear how much. Secondly, this area of the base, marked as a shelter that took a direct hit. I believe this might be a repair facility, but I'm not 100% certain. Let's go to Google Maps. It was the lower one here that was hit. You can see there's a large door at either end, so these were made to accommodate very large aircraft. This is jointly a civilian and military base used for logistics and the like. So it could be there was a key transporter being stored in here, or the repair and maintenance for said aircraft. And here, a Google Map view of a radar. So this was definitely a radar site, as you can see the shadow of it on the ground. And here, you can see it's about 100 kilometers from the border. So that's all the imagery I have. More targets may have been hit, of course. I have no imagery yet of the Indian air bases targeted. I've looked online, but nothing's been uploaded. Maybe we'll get some soon. If it's interesting, I'll take a look at it. I also have some imagery of recent Ukrainian strikes on Russia, which I'm going to do a video of on their own soon as well. And also, another video which I'm going to do about
Pakistan has shot down 5 Indian jets, including 3 Rafale, 1 Su-30, 1 MiG-29, and a drone has been shot down.
Warfare isn't just about firepower. It's about technology, strategy, and who holds the edge. And right now, one country is proving that you don't need to spend billions to dominate the skies. In a shocking twist, Pakistan has reportedly shot down 5 Indian fighter jets, including 3 advanced French-made jets worth nearly $1 billion in a single night. But here's the real story. Behind this victory lies China's rising influence on modern warfare.
In the wake of increased tensions between India and Pakistan, China's defense stocks witnessed a noticeable surge. This comes after reports that Chinese-made military equipment was used by Pakistan in the clash. An index of Chinese defense companies rose 1.6% to reach a 2-week high. Chinese platforms like the J10C fighter jet gained reputational value after reportedly being used by Pakistan in downing Indian Rafale jets. This combat validation boosts confidence among investors, positioning Chinese defense companies as formidable players in global arms trade. Pakistan's reliance on Chinese arms is overwhelming, growing to 82% of its defense imports.
Revolutionary salute to our brother Richard for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is way of life. Absolutely appreciate the love, family. Salute.
This signals a continuous demand for Chinese military hardware and strengthens China's role as a key player in the global arms market. The geopolitical climate has reinforced China's standing as a top arms supplier. Investor optimism around defense sector growth continues to rise amid ongoing regional instability.
Investors are taking note. Shares of Chengdu Aircraft Corporation, the manufacturer behind Pakistan's JF-17 Thunder and the J10C fighter jets, surged by over 17% following the news. This spike highlights global confidence in Chinese defense technology and its ability to outperform even some of the world's most advanced aircraft. So how did Pakistan manage to take down India's much-hyped Rafale jets? Reports indicate that Pakistan's success was due to a combination of superior tactics, skilled pilots, and most importantly, the cutting-edge Chinese-built JF-17 Thunder jets. The JF-17, co-developed by Pakistan and China, may not be as expensive as the Rafale, but it's proven itself to be highly effective in combat scenarios. Lightweight, agile, and equipped with modern avionics, the JF-17 is rapidly becoming a symbol of Pakistan's air power.
Humiliating day for the Indian Army after the Indian government was forced to admit that they lost 3 fighter jets in a couple of hours after footage appeared from Indian-controlled part of Kashmir showing the debris from the downed fighter jets. And the performance of the Indian fighter pilots in the French-made Rafale aircraft were so bad that the stock price of Dassault Aviation, which makes these French fighter jets, fell sharply. Meanwhile, the Pakistanis were using the Chinese-made J-10 and JF-17 fighter jets, which was made by the Chinese Chengdu Aircraft Corporation. One of these fighter jets made by China was used directly by Pakistan to down the French-made fighter jet in India, and the performance of the Chinese fighter jets were so good that the stock price of the Chengdu Aircraft Corporation soared. Meanwhile, Modi is completely isolated and severely miscalculated this operation, with even the Americans not giving Modi the support that he hoped for. Meanwhile, Pakistan is swimming with allies, with both Iran and Turkey saying that they will give intelligence support to Pakistan. Best believe China is also doing the same.
But here's another interesting fact. It wasn't just the JF-17s doing the heavy lifting. Even Pakistan's aging F-16 fleet reportedly played a role in neutralizing India's state-of-the-art Rafales. Imagine that an older generation of planes taking down one of Europe's most sophisticated fighters. With an estimated loss of nearly $1 billion for India, this defeat has sent shockwaves through New Delhi and raised serious questions about the effectiveness of their multi-billion-dollar Rafale deal. And it's not just India feeling the heat. Shares of Dassault Aviation, the French company behind the Rafale, plummeted after the incident. Analysts warned the stock could drop even further as scrutiny grows over the jet's battlefield performance. This clash underscores something bigger: China's growing footprint in regional security. By equipping Pakistan with affordable yet highly capable military hardware, Beijing is reshaping the balance of power in South Asia. The JF-17 program isn't just about selling planes. It's about proving that Chinese technology can compete and sometimes surpass Western alternatives.
This is not just about Chinese technology, because we just was talking about, this asymmetrical warfare. Remember, China just humiliated France with their fake, with the purses and all that. The designer. Remember when Trump did the trade war and China exposed Europe that they was making all of the same products? They was making their products in China and they were just stamping them as they went to Europe. Now, fast forward to right now. China's showing the world we also can make the weapons they make for cheaper and they are better. This is a game changer. And this is why Trump really want to stop China, because they know if they let China continue, it's over for them in every aspect. Not just in manufacturing goods. No, manufacturing weapons. And it just was proven in the Pakistan-India war.
And investors are clearly betting big on this trend.
India proudly bought those shiny new Rafale fighter jets from France. spending a whopping $9 billion for just 36 jets, all in the name of gaining air superiority over Pakistan and possibly competing with China. India wanted to ensure no Pakistani plane could even think about challenging them. But guess what? One missile, just one missile, could shatter that $9 billion dream to pieces. And that missile is China's PL-15, now in the hands of the Pakistan Air Force. Right when India-Pakistan tensions started heating up again, China stepped in and did something crazy. They gave Pakistan a batch of PL-15 missiles. According to latest reports, Pakistan received around 100 PL-15 missiles, and they didn't even get this cheap export version. They got the real deal, straight from China's own Air Force stocks. This means it's not the first time Pakistan is using the PL-15. They had a few for testing before, but now they have plenty, ready for action. The PL-15 is a beyond visual range, BVR air-to-air missile, built for long-distance kills. It can fly at speeds over Mach 5. That's 5 times faster than sound. And strike targets up to 300 kilometers away, meaning a jet over Lahore could easily hit one deep inside Indian Punjab. Powered by a dual-pulse solid rocket motor and guided by an advanced ASA radar, the missile isn't just fast. It can lock onto enemy jets from very far and adjust its path mid-flight to make sure it hits its target. It's smart, accurate, and brutal. Pakistan's JF-17 Block 3 fighter jets are the main platforms for PL-15 missiles. Pakistan has already inducted about 50 JF-17 Block 3 jets, and more are coming fast.
As the dust settles over South Asia, one thing is clear. The rules of modern warfare are changing, and China is leading the charge. With affordable, high-performance military tech, Beijing isn't just reshaping regional conflicts, it's rewriting the playbook for global defense. Pakistan's success against India's Rafale fleet is more than just a tactical win. It's a glimpse into the future of air combat. And as investors flock to Chinese defense stocks, the world is waking up to the reality that innovation doesn't always come with $1 billion price tag. So what do you think? Is China's rise in military tech a game changer, or does the West still hold the edge? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Moving on, China has begun testing a cutting-edge 6th generation fighter jet capable of operating in space. This advanced aircraft is designed as an integrated space air fighter with the ability to reach supersonic speed.
Today in this video, we will tell you about a stunning revelation that has left defense analysts and military strategists around the globe buzzing. The latest news is that China has officially pulled the curtain back on what may be the most advanced stealth aircraft ever developed outside the United States. This aircraft is so silent, stealthy, yet deadly that our expert analysts have subconsciously named it China's silent assassin in the sky. And yes, we are talking about none other than China's latest unveiling, the Shenyang J-50 aircraft. Designed as the next generation aircraft, currently in its prototype phase, the J-50 has been engineered to push the boundaries of modern air combat, leading to a new era of military aviation for the People's Liberation Army Air Force, PLAF. Now you might be wondering, what makes the Shenyang J50 such a game changer? When you look at it from the outside, you may think it's just another sleek, futuristic design or it's cutting-edge avionics. But in reality, it's much more than that. Record shows that this sixth-generation stealth jet is China's most aggressive leap yet in the aerospace race. This assassin aircraft is capable of signaling a direct challenge to the dominance of the US F-35 and even the upcoming next-generation air dominance program. And if early intelligence reports are accurate, the Shenyang J50 might not just rival its Western rival aircraft, it could potentially dominate them without even lifting a finger. The truth is, rumors of China's sixth-generation stealth program have circulated for years. But in early 2025, a variety of satellite images and insider leaks confirmed what many had suspected. A tailless lambda-wing aircraft had been spotted. The aircraft can be observed conducting high-speed taxi trials at the Shenyang Aircraft Corporation facility. Soon after, China's state media subtly acknowledged the existence of this mysterious yet superior aircraft. They have called it a milestone project representing the future of China's air dominance. While official specifications still remain classified, military watchers, inspectors, and command officers around the world have given this aircraft a code name, J50. China revealed this aircraft at the perfect moment in the world's military history. Since most countries like the US, UK, Japan, and France are developing their next-gen fighter jets, which are mostly sixth-generation fighter jets. China, on the other hand, showed everyone else that they are much further in technology and advancements as compared to their military rivals. And they proved their word by revealing their spectacular Shenyang J50. At first glance, the Shenyang J50's most striking feature is its completely tailless design. It is a radical departure from previous Chinese fighters like the J-20. Instead of vertical stabilizers, the Shenyang J50 utilizes a flying wing configuration with a broad along with blended fuselage that reduces radar cross-section, RCS, across all angles. Combined with radar-absorbent materials and infrared signature suppression, the lethal aircraft is engineered to be nearly undetectable on both radar and heat-seeking systems. The lambda wing architecture also gives the Shenyang J50 an increased lift in the air. It also gives better maneuverability and more internal space for weapons and fuel, all while minimizing drag. This makes the Shenyang J50 not just stealthy, but efficient, agile, and able to sustain long missions without the need for refueling and frequently going back and forth to the nearest airbase. When it comes to Shenyang J50, its unique stealth isn't just about evading the enemy's radar system anymore. It's about information dominance. The Shenyang J50 reportedly integrates quantum radar evading coding and metamaterial-based sensors, possibly making it resistant to detection by even the most advanced Western tracking systems. Talking about the powering source of the Shenyang J50, it carries a pair of adaptive cycle engines, most probably the WS-19X prototype, which are said to feature full 3D thrust vectoring capabilities. These engines allow for unprecedented maneuverability in dogfights and also enable the aircraft to maintain supercruise, supersonic speeds without afterburners for extended periods. Unlike fifth-gen aircraft that compromise their maneuverability for increased stealth, the Shenyang J50 is able to do both effortlessly. According to early footage and analysis, the aircraft can execute tight turns and post-stall maneuvers comparable to Russia's Su-57, all while maintaining a near-zero radar signature. But that is not all. These engines may also be adaptive in terms of airflow, which means they can adjust thrust and heat output dynamically, improving fuel efficiency and reducing infrared visibility. Yet another stealth enhancement that could prove crucial in modern warfare. Another significant feature of the Shenyang J50 is its rumored compatibility with carrier-based operations. China's expanding fleet of aircraft carriers, including the nuclear-powered Type 004, has made it clear that naval aviation is a key component of the country's future power projection strategy. The Shenyang J50 is designed around this fundamental concept in mind. The aircraft is believed to feature extremely strong landing gear, arrestor hook mechanisms, and advanced control surfaces in order to enable safe operation on carrier decks. If all these rumors are true, the Shenyang J-50 can possibly become the crown jewel of China's carrier-based air fleet, granting the PLA Navy unprecedented reach and aerial supremacy at sea. This ability to seamlessly operate from both land and sea platforms reflects the operational flexibility of the US F-35B and F-35C models, but with potentially even greater stealth and mobility advantages. China has placed enormous emphasis on artificial intelligence and machine learning in its latest military platforms. And when it comes to that, the Shenyang J-50 is their prized possession to date. This aggressive aircraft is rumored to feature a fully integrated AI co-pilot system capable of data fusion, threat detection, and mission planning, all in real time. This AI system, paired with advanced sensors like active electronically scanned array, AESA radar, and electro-optical targeting systems, EOTS, gives the Shenyang J-50 the ability to operate on its own for extended periods, even under the crucial electronic warfare conditions. There is also a possibility that China will hook Shenyang J-50 up with its other AI-powered, latest and strongest drone fleets, including the Monkey King drone fleet. The J-50 can also serve as a tactical aircraft to their missile networks and space-based surveillance platforms as a flying command center and multi-domain warfare node. The Shenyang J-50 is not merely an aircraft, it's a lethal aerial machine that is driven with a proper purpose. With its development, China has successfully signaled the United States and its allies that they are no longer interested in playing catch-up in the aerospace sector. They want to lead, dominate, and rule the skies. This is particularly significant when viewed alongside other Chinese military advancements, such as the 7.2% increase in China's 2025 defense budget, its new command center being built near Beijing, and the unveiling of nuclear-powered carriers. Together, these moves paint a picture of a nation accelerating toward full-spectrum military dominance. What worries Western analysts most is the speed. While U.S. 6th-gen programs are expected to produce operational fighters by the early 2030s, China's Shenyang J-50 is already conducting tests. If successful, it could enter service as early as 2028, beating U.S. timelines by years. This potential lead, combined with China's growing industrial capacity and deep government funding, may soon flip the balance of air power in the Indo-Pacific, and perhaps even globally. Also, what other topics are you interested in? Let us know and we will talk about it in our next videos. Meanwhile, if you find this video informative and helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to our channel so that you has been producing for some time. Not at all. Instead, this smart military
U.S. officials are closely watching the Chinese military's meteoric growth.
It's happening on multiple fronts and fast.
In the past few months, you might have noticed the massive shift that has begun to take place on China's military land. This progress is quiet, smooth, and very well strategized. And no, this progress is not directly about the stealth and advanced fighter jets, hypersonic missiles, or any other space warfare China has been producing for some time. Not at all. Instead, this smart military move has been happening far out in the waters. Yes, we are talking about the seas and the oceans that are now witnessing China's advanced warfare. As you have heard from our channel, China has recently launched its infamous and powerful Type 004 aircraft carrier, an absolute behemoth that carries China's advanced fighter jets across the seas and the oceans. Today, we will dive deep into its working, how it is powered, and how that system will entirely change the scope of China's aerial warfare once and for all. Yes, we are going to talk about its nuclear-powered core, the same energy source that China has adapted for the first time in history. For people who are hearing about nuclear-powered energy sources, it might not sound fascinating at first. But wait, as in this video, we will dive deep into the details of this energy source and how it will benefit the next-gen fleet of aircraft, warships, submarines, and more. In short, what we will talk about has the potential to become the true secret weapon in China's arsenal. Before you make up your mind to absorb this interesting information, you must realize that nuclear-based power components are not just another power upgrade. It is a doorway to China's future military advancements. In other words, it is an opportunity for China to enter a new military age. Once China completely adapts to this technology, the world will not be the same anymore. The thing is, when China openly announced the construction of the Type 04 aircraft supercarrier, there has been a lot of discussion regarding the nuclear technology that is being used to power up that oceanic beast. You will hear everyone talking about it, and there is a solid reason to do so. You see, most countries out there still use conventional fossil fuel to power up their aircraft carriers. In fact, China used to be one of those countries as well. Until recently, since we have seen this new adaptation, China has now crossed the threshold of vintage power source and is now one of the very few nations that are capable of building nuclear-powered warships. With such progressive advancement, you can safely assume that China's flagship aircraft carrier, the Type 004, is no longer a limited-range asset. In fact, this has now become a global force which is not capable of staying and operating under the bounds of the sea for months or even years without needing a refuel. Moreover, it can also now power more aircraft, launch missiles against enemy targets more frequently, and stay stationed at the best strategic locations indefinitely. However, this is just the beginning. If we look closer and examine the true power of nuclear energy, we can possibly imagine the wide range of possibilities it brings to the table. Just think about it. China now has the upper hand on massive, uninterrupted, and onboard energy generation. This nuclear energy is fresh, clean, and ready to use at a moment's notice. This allows China to start integrating this new energy with next-generation weapons, something that we cannot even imagine for a normal aircraft carrier due to its limited power reserves. Here are some of the best and most advanced weapons China can now readily adapt to its military vehicles. The first one on the list is an obvious choice. It's an electromagnetic railgun. If you do not know what an electromagnetic railgun is, it is a next-gen weapon of destruction that launches projectiles at hypersonic speeds without the need for any explosives. The only issue with using this deadly weapon is that it consumes a lot of energy per shot. However, with the latest nuclear power technology, that will not be a problem anymore. The next on the list is the high-energy laser defense systems. These systems are capable of blinding, burning, and disabling any incoming missiles, drones, or even enemy aircraft. This laser defense system is costly to operate due to its hunger of energy consumption. Luckily, China's nuclear power source will solve this problem as well. Last but not least, China will finally get hold of and properly utilize the directed energy weapons, also known as the DEWs. These are rare but extremely powerful weapons that are capable of jamming enemy systems, disabling enemy satellites, and even destroying enemy electronics. That too with pinpoint accuracy. With a nuclear power source, China can readily deploy these enemy hunters without running out of energy to power them. But wait, there's more. How can we forget discussing the use of nuclear power for manufacturing advanced radar and sensor systems? With such a tremendous power source, China can easily develop ultra-long-range radars and quantum sensors that operate flawlessly, given a link to a huge power source. With nuclear power, that will be possible. All in all, if we look at the bigger picture, the Type 004 will not just remain another regular aircraft carrier. It will be a gigantic power plant ruling the waters under China's command. Now, if we look back for a second and think about why it is important for China to produce a nuclear-based power source in order to power up its entire fleet, the answer is simple. This power boost will give China a global presence without any interruption. For now, what seems to be in command of regional power, China will hold its command over the entire world. As an upcoming superpower state, China will have a 24/7 military presence in all parts of the globe. China will no longer play its part as a defensive state, especially against the enemy states, and more specifically against the US. With nuclear power on its side, China will be in an attack state. The tables will turn and the power dynamics of the world will shift into China's hands. With a 24/7 presence in different parts of the world, no matter land or the sea, China will make sure there is no threat around that can potentially cause disturbance in the world. China will assert dominance across the world thanks to its nuclear-powered military fleet that can run 24/7, 365 days of the year. And there is one last undeniable fact regarding nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. Once China starts building such supercarriers, it will be a lot easier for them to build more and add to their naval fleet. Since the first one is already on its way to hit the waters, China now has the infrastructure, the reactor technology, and the naval design to produce more of them in the upcoming months. In other words, there will be no going back for China, and only the way up from here. We hope that you found this video eye-opening and informational. You now have a whole future planning of China ahead of you. You now understand how China will progress, especially with the help of its newly found nuclear-powered technology, and how it will affect the future of China, especially against its rival states like the US. You now also have an idea about how China will utilize this energy in making more next-gen weapons that will aid the country in becoming the next successful superpower of the world. Also, what other topics do you want us to talk about? Write it down in the comments below, and we will make a video about it. Meanwhile, if you find this video informative and interesting, please give it a like. Also, subscribe to our channel so that you
This is the 8th crisis that the South Asian region witnessed in the last 38 years. What is different this time?
The intoxication of hard power is not enough to violate and hurt an independent country like Pakistan. Pakistan has defeated India in last 18 days in all domains: military, cyber, media, diplomacy, public narrative.
Pakistan Air Force added a new chapter in the modern use of air power against a vastly superior, technologically advanced, and numerically larger adversary in a very swift and a very effective and hard-hitting manner. All the 5 fighters which were shot down by Pakistan Air Force were shot down deep inside Indian territory. So they were so shocked that we are not even safe within our own airspace. So how can we confront Pakistan Air Force fighter pilots? Therefore, the next 2 days, they sent almost 80 drones. Pakistan attacked at 4 levels. Those 10 air bases and airfields from where these Rafales and Su-30s had taken off to launch attacks on Pakistan, and the drones also. Pakistan targeted the 2 major storage sites of BrahMos cruise missile. Pakistan destroyed their major storage sites and ammunition depots and several checkposts in Indian occupied Kashmir. Cyber attack on the energy grid of India, which brought 70% of India into darkness. Surgical strike will not be a new normal. Secondly, Pakistan will maintain strategic stability despite Indians' irresponsible strategic behavior. India will always, as per quid pro quo plus doctrine, pay a much heavier price, perhaps 3 times a heavier price for every action or every aggression
in every domain whenever it wants to test the mettle of Pakistan, its military, and its nation. I think now it's a wake-up call for the policymakers in State Department, in Pentagon, in CIA, in DIA, that are they betting on the right horse? How the international community is looking at this crisis? What are their reactions?
Their boys had the best toys, but our boys were the best boys. So the best boys won over best toys. That's the moral of the story of 18 days.
Viewers, very warm welcome to another episode of V News English program, which is a joint production with Stratia, The Weekend. My name is Muhammad Ali.
And I'm Murtaza Salhani.
Mr. Murtaza, I think this weekend is perhaps one of the most historic weekends which this region of South Asia witnessed. You've been looking at the developments in the last 18 days, and this is the 8th crisis that the South Asian region witnessed in the last 38 years. So let's begin by asking you, what is different this time?
Well, if you compare it with the last weekend we had, we were in a state of standoff.
Yes.
And this last week has been decisive in breaking the stalemate that started 18 days ago on April the 22nd, when that tragic, I would call it carnage, happened in Pahalgam. It's clear that Indian state tried to use that Pahalgam incident to harass, hurt, damage, and destroy Pakistan. That was the design. But the last 1 week has demonstrated it to the world, not only to 1.65 billion people of India and Pakistan, but to the entire world, that arrogance, hubris, and the intoxication of hard power is not enough to violate and hurt an independent country like Pakistan. So that is the result that we have seen, especially in last few days, starting the night of 6th and 7th May, and then the day after, till the wee hours of Saturday morning, when Pakistan had enough. Pakistan had defended its territory even on 6th and 7th, when India attacked with massive missile power on 9 places, 24 impact attacks, but also defended the drone attacks, the swarm drone attacks. On 6th and 7th, they had 112 aircrafts taking part, and Pakistan did not lose a single aircraft. They lost 3 Rafales and 2 other aircrafts, taken together 5 aircrafts. Their arrogance of BrahMos and Rafales and all other, hard power did not win. The resolve of Pakistani people and its armed forces did. So it was not an easy competition. Even at a cursory look at the budget of both countries, India's defense budget is closer to $80 billion. Pakistan is 1/10 of that amount. So I think Pakistan has defeated India in last 18 days in all domains: military, cyber, media, diplomacy, public narrative, and Pakistan has come out on top. So I think 250 million people should pat their backs themselves.
Indeed, and just to build further from where you ended, that Pakistan essentially enjoyed and demonstrated a full spectrum dominance across all domains and across all elements of national power, against a country which is 4 times its size, a population which is 6 times its size, and a country whose defense budget is almost 9 to 10 times its size. So I think it is not something that will affect only South Asian security dynamics, but I believe in the months and years to come, it will have very significant implications for South Asian balance of power, for Asia Pacific security environment, for the US Indo-Pacific strategy, for the containment of China project, and also for how the defense industry and the international arms market look at the lessons of the last 4 days. And since I've been researching and teaching modern strategy for about 15 years, I think Pakistan Air Force added a new chapter in the modern use of air power against a vastly superior, technologically advanced, and numerically larger adversary in a very swift and a very effective and hard-hitting manner, which has won admiration from the leading international aviation experts from around the world. And I think a very interesting comment by CNN, which I was witnessing, and also by Financial Times London today, that they are really admiring how Pakistani pilots effectively employed and strategized the modern Chinese technology against the best of Western defense and weapon systems like Rafale and so many and so forth. But let me briefly just share for the benefit of your audience. In military, I think there are 3 aspects which are unique to this, to the last 96 hours or 4 days. On day 1, as you rightly pointed out, India sent 80 of its most modern, most advanced and expensive aircraft to invade Pakistan. And Pakistan Air Force was alive and ready. And so they successfully not only defended their airspace, but also shot down 5 of their most advanced aircraft, 3 Rafales, which is the premier European fighter aircraft, 4.5 generation, and also the backbone of the Indian Air Force, which is the Su-30 MKI, which is the leading frontline fighter of Russian origin, and also a MiG-29. But I think that huge debacle based on the most intense air battle in a very long time, which was fought over South Asian airspace at 12:30 in the middle of the night, at a time when 57 international airliners were flying across Pakistani airspace, which meant there were at least 150,000 men and people traveling who could have, whose lives could have been jeopardized. But thankfully and mercifully, Pakistan Air Force effectively defended its airspace and humbled a numerically and technologically superior adversary. But that forced a huge, psychological impact on the Indian military and Air Force leadership, which is evident that the next 2 days they were reluctant to send their manned fighter aircraft into Pakistan airspace, because that all the 5 fighters which were shot down by Pakistan Air Force were shot down deep inside Indian territory. So they were so shocked that we are not even safe within our own airspace. So how can we confront Pakistan Air Force fighter pilots? Therefore, the next 2 days, they sent almost 80 drones across Pakistan to sort of, avenge some damage and also improve the morale of their nation and retain some sort of confidence of their political leadership. But the last 12 hours are, I think, the most historic in the history of modern warfare that the world has witnessed. That you would recall within 2 hours after midnight, the chief spokesperson of Pakistani Armed Forces, General Ahmad Sharif, spoke thrice to media within 2 hours. And that was something extraordinary. And I was up and I myself heard 3 big explosions in the middle of the night around 20 past 2 a.m. in the morning. And then it was quickly followed by General Ahmad Sharif announcing that and confirming that in its complete chaos and madness, India has launched 6 ballistic missiles on Amritsar and East Punjab, and also launched some missiles and drones against Afghanistan, and also launched their missile attack on 3 of Pakistan's air bases: Chaklala in Rawalpindi, Islamabad, Murid Air Base in northern Punjab, and also the Rafiki Air Base, which is a major air base in southwest of Pakistan. So that, I think, broke the camel's back and convinced Pakistan that a credible, effective, and hard-hitting response is necessary to remove the misperception of Indian leadership, make them pay a price, restore the balance of power, repair the strategic deterrence, and also eliminate all their imaginary dreams of surgical strike for all times to come. And that is what unfolded. Pakistan attacked at 4 levels. The first set of targets, as per the doctrine of quid pro quo, included those 10 air bases and airfields from where these Rafales and Su-30s had taken off to launch attacks on Pakistan, and the drones also. Secondly, Pakistan targeted the 2 major storage sites of BrahMos cruise missile in order to cause serious damage to their stockpile and future escalation option and war stamina. Thirdly, Pakistan destroyed their major storage sites and ammunition depots and several checkposts in Indian occupied Kashmir, which were responsible for human rights violations and atrocities against Kashmiri brothers and sisters, but also killing poor unarmed civilians, including 7-year-old children across LOC. So that was the third set of targets. The fourth set of target, Mr. Murtaza, was unique and something novel in modern history. And that was a huge cyber attack on the energy grid of India, which brought 70% of India into darkness. And that is very significant because you know very well, India considers itself and prides itself as the largest IT industry in the world, which provides high-tech IT support to Silicon Valley and other advanced countries and sells and exports more than $180 billion worth of export revenue. Now, a country with such a high-tech IT industry was the victim of Pakistan's first successful use of non-kinetic warfare and a cyber attack, which brought 70% of the Indian nation into darkness. So I think this shock and complete humiliation and Pakistan's escalation dominance forced not just a timely intervention by international community led by the US to do crisis diplomacy, but also forced the Indian leadership to listen to their wise counsel in order to minimize their damage, because they realized that further escalation would cost them much more embarrassment, much more political capital, and much more economic damage to their country. But I want to ask you, beyond the military dimension, how is the international community looking at these 18 days, and especially how it has unfolded?
I just want to add one observation before I answer your question. And that observation is that there was a conventional thinking about India-Pakistan military affairs and security affairs. There was a kind of a misconception, I would say, that, okay, in terms of conventional means, India has overwhelming superiority. But since Pakistan's defensive doctrine is based on full spectrum, that includes nuclear power, so that adds Pakistan's defense. Well, no nuclear option was exercised this time around. Pakistan has successfully defeated India in conventional warfare and even non-kinetic means, including the cyber one. So that must be told to people that seemingly India has conventional superiority, but that conventional superiority took a nosedive in 18 days. Now,
that's a very important point, Mr. Murtaza. And let me just briefly add that another new dimension was the first successful use of hypersonic missiles by JF-17 Thunder, the pride of Pakistan Air Force, against the world's most expensive and advanced missile defense system, S400, that India had bought. And it was just one aircraft which successfully neutralized that S400, making Indian airspace vulnerable for future and additional missile strikes inside India. And I think that taking out the eyes and ears of Indian missile defense system by destruction of S400 battery perhaps forced India to reach out to international powers and seek their intervention for a cessation of hostilities, because they realized that after they have lost their eyes and ears, they cannot fight on. And in case of further escalation, Pakistan will cause much more damage and destruction, because their S-400 is no more operational and preventing Pakistani fighter and missiles from reaching their target. So that is also an aspect which I think was critical in convincing India that further escalation and saber rattling and contestation is not a viable and affordable option available to them. But I wanted to know your views about how the international community is looking at this crisis. What are their reactions?
I will just add one sentence before I answer your long-awaited question. Their boys had the best toys, but our boys were the best boys. So the best boys won over best toys. That's the moral of the story of 18 days. Now,
well said.
Answering your question.
Well said.
India, because of fourth or fifth biggest world economy, they were quite arrogant and intoxicated with their economic power, the power of the market, that the whole world will stand behind India in their adventuristic expedition into Pakistan. The reverse and the opposite has come true in 18 days. America, that used to be the world's sole superpower, is operating on a different mode, a cocktail of Hoover and Monroe doctrine, isolationist and unilateralism. So Trump said from the very get-go that, oh, they've been fighting for hundreds of years, they'll figure it out. So hands-off policy. That was a big shock for Trump's so-called tight buddy, Modi, under Modi Sarkar. Then you saw the European Union, the other important countries, including Russia, one of the biggest suppliers of the Indian military hardware. So that was a big lesson for India, that you might be economically strong, but that's not the only power to give you the license to go against a small neighbor like Pakistan. Pakistan is not walkover. Pakistan is not that weak. So we have demonstrated this to the world. So I think India should realize that in last 18 days, no country sanctioned its license to kill Pakistan. That's the diplomatic, experience. And the very fact that Pakistan used Chinese technology and defeated their adventurism is another classroom exercise for the military experts in the world, that you might be intoxicated with your scientific old power, but you are an old power. There's a new power. There's a new sheriff in town, and that's China.
Very well said. Now, let me ask a question which in an area which you specialize and master in. I want your comments about the political impact on the future of Pakistan and the political future of Mr. Modi after this eventful 18 days.
Pakistan has united beyond belief. As disunited and fractured Pakistan looked 18 days back, today's Pakistan is more united, and those who wanted to play the role of fifth columns have been effectively defeated, and you will see that in next few days. In India, it's a major embarrassment for BJP and Modi. I don't know if the opposition would take any advantage out of it or not, but mark my words, Modi, humiliated, embarrassed, will not sit back. They will go on an overdrive in their proxy wars against Pakistan and hurting Pakistan through invisible means, including creating disunity and chaos inside Pakistan, besides supporting terrorists of different kinds. But I think they will burn all the taxpayers' money of 1.4 billion Indian people in buying new toys for their boys and try to upgrade their technical skill, which miserably failed in last 18 days. So going fast forward to the next Indian elections, I have a fear, and I think they will try to create another crisis like Pahalgam and use it to attack Pakistan. Pakistan should be ready for that.
Indeed, but I think my brief comment regarding its geopolitical implications is that it will have significant geopolitical implications, because now US might improve its understanding of Indian strategic character and capability, because it seems that there are serious thinkers among US strategic elite and strategic experts who are beginning to show signs of skepticism regarding the quality of Indian commitment towards containment of China project. And after the Doklam humiliation, when 150 Indian soldiers were beaten up through simple sticks, and today they were humbled by a very small but efficient and professional air force. I think now it's a wake-up call for the policymakers in State Department, in Pentagon, in CIA, in DIA, that are they betting on the right horse by spending so much of their diplomatic, political, economic, and military capital on India, which is not only unwilling, but today proven incapable of meeting the US security expectations that it has in the glorious and grand agenda of containment of China. But I am forced to recall a statement you made after President Trump joined office, that some people will be smiling in Beijing. And I think the people in Beijing will be very happy for two reasons. That Pakistani Air Force pilots use their technology in such an effective manner that it created dominance on the best Western technology and the best Russian technology that the Indians have. And secondly, we marketed and improved the share prices of the Chinese aerospace industry like never before. And thirdly, it is a huge lesson for the US that their expectation that India will help contain China, I think, needs a reality check. And China has found a partner in Pakistan who is both willing, capable, and deserves all the support and appreciation as a responsible, as a strong, united nuclear power of the region, which seeks peace, but peace with honor, peace with dignity, not under Indian hegemony. And that is a dream which today Pakistan Air Force and Pakistan Army buried like perhaps never before.
I would just revise my earlier statement. The people in Beijing will not be smiling. They will be giggling.
Yes, and you've been to Beijing several times. You know, there are some people who are making memes about how, you know, Rafael was not good enough fighter to harm Pakistan. But my last question, Mr. Solanki, is that what is the way forward? What happens on the day after? How does this huge military success is translated into sustainable diplomatic and political gains, or if at all it can be?
I think we have a work cut out for ourselves, and we should discuss it in detail next weekend. But I would just make a passing remarks on the state of Indian media. Pakistani media rocked, and Indian media and the people were shocked.
Very well said. I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is
Kofi, follow me.